Hi, Alan Cox here. So now we've come to a place to where we want to try to put this in action. In our last video, we set up our global administrator account with some settings around PIM, some parameters, some time constraints, some work approval workflows, some notifications, etc. Now we're going to just see what that looks like in action. So that's going to be our focus today. We're going to actually assign somebody this global administrator role as eligible. That person is then going to activate their role, and we'll see kind of what happens from there. So that's going to be our focus today here in part 3 of our video series on privileged identity management. Let's get started. All right, here we are back in Entra, Microsoft Entra, so entra.microsoft.com, and we are going to go on down here. Remember, I saved this as a favorite, so we're just going to go here to favorites to privileged identity management. If you have not saved it as a favorite, then you just go down here to identity governance, and you'll see privileged identity management there. All right, so here we are, privileged identity management. Now, we're going to work with the global administrator role in this case. Now, let me just go into the Entra roles here, and we'll go into roles. And now, the way I would start this out, if you're just beginning to do this, now remember we did it under the global administrator role, where we went in and configured in our last video some of the settings that we may do there. And so if we pop into this and look at the role settings, we'll see that, remember, we set this as a 4-hour activation period. So if someone elevates to this role who we've given eligibility to, they elevate to this role, they have a maximum of 4-hour window to use the role. Now, you can schedule that for a later time. So you can give them, let's say they're going to be doing work after hours, you can give them a 4-hour window starting at a certain point in time, right? So it's not just at that moment. We'll look at that a little bit. On activation, we're going to require an MFA. They're going to require an MFA. They're going to require justification, and they're going to require an approval, and that approval is me. Now, you can do an approval group, which, remember, I recommended that you had more than one approver, so that in case somebody is out. And then we've got all kinds of notification settings. And I would look through this carefully if you're truly setting this up in your environment, because it can be rather chatty. So we'll take a look at this. We are allowing permanent eligible assignment as well as permanent active assignments if you want for this role. But what I would do, though, if I were setting this up in an environment, I would go and I would pick out, you don't necessarily have to do the settings for every single role, but I would certainly do them for all the roles that are likely going to, could cause you the most harm. Conditional access administrator, global administrator, maybe some of the exchange admins. We'll talk about RBAC later, but security administrator, Intune administrator, etc. So some of those, just start slow and start building kind of what you would think each role. You don't have to go through every single role. I know no organization that has set up a PIM for every single role, but you definitely want to configure the ones that are gonna matter the most, at least initially, for sure. So we're going to go into Global Administrator, and so what I'm going to do here is we're going to scroll down here. We're going to pick out Global Administrator because that is the role that we do have set some non-default settings here. Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to add an assignment. So I'm going to add an assignment here, and we're going to select the members. Okay. Now I will say here that we could go, if we go to active, we can add assignment here, and this is going to be this is going to be an active assignment, or potentially. But let's go through here. Let's do this because I believe now that you can actually choose. So we're gonna do here. We're gonna go to Liam. So Liam's gonna be our and a global administrator, eligible for activation. By the way, we can go into settings here and we can see whether this is going to be eligible or active, right? So we're defaulting to active, or rather eligible. But I can say this person, Mia um, can be um, eligible or active. In this case, we're doing eligible, and we can do permanently eligible. But I can uncheck this, and I can set, when this is, when their eligibility period is over. Not how long they have the role, but how long they can be eligible for the role. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just going to say this is going to be an eligible role, and then that's pretty much that. Now. I do want to check. So here's the thing about this. I wish, and I'm not aware of a way yet. I'm kind of looking to see if maybe that's been changed, but I'm not aware where these settings are applied at the role level, not at the user level. I wish that it would be so that some users could have different settings within that role. The settings are assigned to the role, um, and so, um, but anyway, that's just this is kind of how it is there. So anyway, so we're setting this here. Liam is going to be an administrator, but he's going to be eligible. So we're going to go here. It's always eligible. It's fine. We're going to assign eligible, and again, it's going to. So now, if I go to assignments, global administrator, and now we have active, these are active, but if I were to go to eligible assignments, now we see that Liam is an eligible, um, for the assignment. Now, if I were to go in and say, and we're going to see here, I'm automatically going to get an email as the global administrator and or PIM administrator. We can see here that Liam Anderson has been assigned the global administrator role for our directory, and it is an eligible role. Okay. The assignment started on this date doesn't mean that they're active. He's active. It just means that that's when we set the assignment. Okay, so I've already got that email, just letting me know that, hey, this has happened, right? And so, all right. So Liam has this assignment. That's really it. There's nothing. There's really nothing else to it, because now it would be, and of course I can eliminate the role entirely from Liam. But now let's switch over to Liam, and Liam says, okay, I need activation. I need this global administrator role for a period of time because I'm going to do some work. It's going to require a global administrator. So we're going to pop over to Liam now. Now Liam's going to go to entra.microsoft.com, just like any administrator would. You're going to go to entra.microsoft.com. And then he's going to go down here, much like we would do, as an administrator. He's going to go to his privileged identity management, who he happens to also have saved as a favorite here. But again, identity governance, privileged identity management, and now Liam can say my role. So he's going to see that he has an eligible assignment of global administrator. Okay, it's a permanent eligibility, but it's not active because he has an option here to activate the role. Now, if we look over here, his active assignments, or what he's currently assigned, there is none. Okay, so he's going to go here, and Liam's going to say, I need global administrator, so I'm going to activate. Now, remember that we had our some details here. So, by the way, remember I said earlier, well, first of all, we have to do a justification, right? And remember, we have our max 4-hour window. So you could only be a global administrator at a 4-hour block, because that is what we set up in the settings. Remember? So, but here's the justification. We'll just say modifying some directory, we'll just say directories to tonight. Okay, whatever. So he's going to do some modification of directory, and so he's going to need global administrator. Of course, we could do least privilege and do, I'm sure other things, but you get the point. We have to do a justification. But remember, I said, what if he's doing this now, and but he's going to be working, at 8 o'clock tonight or 10 o'clock or whatever the maintenance window might be. We could do a custom activation time and say, hey, I need this block of time when I start, and then from there it's going to be 4 hours. So that's how it doesn't have to be 4 hours from this moment. It could be 4 hours given a future time. So, but in any case, we're going to go here, and he's going to do an activation. By the way, if he says, you know what, I don't want to be responsible for 4 hours. I really just need a small change. It's going to take me an hour to do it, right? And Liam can go in here and modify this as well if he wants, okay? Then he's only going to be active for 1 hour. Of course, if he needs to reactivate, he can reactivate for an additional 4 hours. In this case, we're just going to leave everything it is, and he's going to say activate. Now, this is where things will start happening. Because, so Liam just did an activation. We're going to refresh this and see if it shows us anything here. Okay, doesn't. We're going to see active assignments. We're going to see there's no active assignments. Okay, now we can see that your activation request is scheduled. Okay, I'm going to refresh this and see if it just shows us anything here. Does not. We're going to see active assignments, and it's not active. Okay, but now we're going to go over to me as an administrator, and we're going to see some emails start to pop in. So first of all, we're going to see that approve or deny Liam Anderson request to activate global administrator role. Okay. And there's the explanation. Okay. And so we can do that directly here, which will take us out to here. And so I'm going to go in here, and again, we're going to look at this. If I refresh this, we're going to see nothing's really different here. Okay. Nothing's really different. But I can go into privileged identity management as an administrator, and I can look at approve request, and we should see Liam's request here, okay, to approve, and here's the reason and all of this. Okay, so now I am going to go in as my administrator. I have this ability to do this, and I am going to approve this request. Now I have to give a justification too. That's part of the settings that we set when we did our last video, and we can say GA is approved, and then I'm going to confirm this. Okay, and then again, some more emails are going to start to flow. Administrators and or PIM administrators will get notifications here. I should see a notification pop in. There we go. So this is on the administrator side. It says the request from Liam Anderson to activate the global administrator role has been approved, and we're going to see more notifications here. Okay, view activation history. So again, it's kind of chatty. Now we're going to switch over to Liam now. See what he sees on his side, having just been approved. Since it's approved, Liam is going to. I'm going to refresh here. I'm in Liam's Entra ID. I'm going to refresh here, and now we will see that. Actually, let me do this. We can see now that it's an active assignment. Okay. Now, if Liam wanted to, he could do the work and then he could deactivate it himself. Okay. But now we see it's an active assignment. So at this moment, Liam does have global administrator rights for a period of the 4-hour window. Okay. That's what Liam has at the moment. Okay. And so refresh this and see if we see anything different here. And so I'm going to go into, I'm just going to pop in another window here. And here I'm just going to go into Entra again. And I'm going to see if sometimes you have to log out. Sometimes it can take just a minute. We're going to see if Liam actually has directory access rights at this moment. So we're going to go in and we're going to go Entra ID. I'm going to go to users and see if he has the ability to create a new user, and he does. So he's does have administrator rights just at that moment. Now, I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna. I'm actually gonna back this up. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna go here, and I'm gonna say, okay, Liam's done. He said, he did his work. He wants to go ahead and deactivate. Now, in 4 hours, it would just deactivate automatically. It would just all of a sudden get no more access on that level. But I'm gonna go ahead and deactivate the role. Okay. I don't know why it failed. Activation is too short. Minimum. That's because we have to have the role for a short period of time. I'm going to see if I can do. Okay, I'm going to see if I can do this um, on the administrator side. Let me do this. Okay, let me do this. Under roles. And let's go. All right, what's up? Refresh. Okay, we'll refresh the entire page then. All right. Let's go to global administrator and let's see if we can't kind of knock him out here. He got an active assignment right now, and here he is. And we're going to go in, and I'm going to remove the assignment. I want to look at one thing. I want to remove the assignment here and see. Yeah, it's not going to, because it has to he has to have the role for 5 hours. I'm gonna try one other thing here real quick. Um, I'm gonna try one other thing. What I want to show you is what happens if I assign a role outside of PIM. Okay, so we're gonna do this kind of old school here. I'm gonna take Liam here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go here and I'm gonna create a role. Not create a role, but let's go to Liam. There's Liam, and we're going to go in and we are going to go to role. We can see that he is currently a global administrator, shows up here. But let's go in, let's manage this role, and let's do this. You can probably uncheck it, but it may fail there, but it doesn't matter. We're going to go here, and I'm going to say, I'm actually going to do this because I want to see. I'm going to add. I'm going to see if I can find a particular role here and see if it'll give it. See what it'll do. I'm going to do identity governance administrator, and I'm going to add him to that. I'm going to see if it still does what it used to do, and that is that it will tell me, as an administrator, it'll say a role has been assigned outside of PIM. And I'm going to see if it will still give me that information. It may take it a minute or two. I'm going to see if that will show up, and if not, we're going to do one other thing. I may give that a minute. Now, what about, I want to show you this real quick while we pivot and wait for that just a second here. So I am going to, let's refresh here. It's probably not been there long enough. I'm going to see if he can deactivate and see if it'll deactivate. It may still not been enough time. Okay, it was enough time that time. So I'm going to refresh real quick. We'll try to run through this real quick. I'm going to refresh. And now it should tell me that he's eligible again, but not active. Okay, so he is eligible. And notice it says activate now. Now if we go to eligible assignments, okay, or active assignments. Remember, this is the one we assigned outside of PIM, okay, because he's eligible here. But what I'm going to do here, actually, let me do this. We're going to refresh this, and now he's no longer a global administrator, so this should not, again, sometimes it takes some time, but he should not have the ability to create a new user, and he does not. Now, What I want to do is I want to do kind of what we did before, and I'm going to say he is actually here we go. Here's the email that came through, and see what it says. There we go. An identity governance administrator role for the tenant directory was assigned outside of PIM. So once PIM is enabled and in play in the environment, anytime a role is not used through PIM or not assigned through PIM, administrator will get a message indicating that. So it's a good way to kind of keep track of that. I want to do one other thing, and I want to show you something real quick, and then we'll be done with this one. One of the things you may have noticed is that if we have these role groups for Microsoft Purview Solutions, right? So we've got all these roles here, and then we've got if we look inside of the Entra ID, the privileged access, in Entra roles, and we look at these roles here, these do not necessarily line up. And we're going to see a lot of differences in different RBAC roles. So whether it's Exchange Online or whether it's Purview or other services, etc. So how do we get privileged identity management and PIM activations using those types of roles? So that's something we're going to take a look at now. And the way that we do that is we go in first, and I'm under my administrator here, and I'm going to go to groups, and I'm going to create a new group. Okay, so I'm going to create a new group. It's going to be a 365 or a security group. I'm going to call it, and I'm just going to do security group, and we're going to call it PIM, PIM, Purview administrator. Okay, so I know this is a PIM group, PIM activated group. And then we want to say, can Entra roles be assigned? Yes, they can. I don't want to add members just yet because I want to ensure that only users can gain access through a PIM activation. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We're all good. We're going to create this group, and we're going to say yes, we do. So now we want to enable PIM for the group. Okay, so we've got this group, and it is our group. Let me go into our group here. All groups. PIM Purview Administrator. And we see down here under activity, we see privileged identity management. So we're going to click that, and we're going to say enable PIM for this group. And it should be going up here and enabling PIM for that group. Now, because PIM is enabled for this group, now it's time we can define who will activate and access this through privileged identity management. Okay. So we are going to go. We're going to go up here. We're going to go to privileged identity management. We're going to go to groups. We'll see this group here, and now we're going to click into the group, and now we're going to let me see. We select roles, and I'm going to click. What am I looking for? I'm looking for assignments. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know what I'm doing here. And then we are going to go eligible assignments here, and I'm going to add assignments, but we're going to get the settings here anyway. We can change this here. And we're going to select a role here, and the role is going to be a member. Okay. And I'm going to add my user here, Liam. And we're going to select Liam there. And under settings, we're going to make sure that this is eligible, and it is, and we are good to go. Eligible assignment, we're good. Okay. And then we're going to go through that. We're going to click assign. We're good. All right. So we've already got the settings. We've already got the settings for the for this assignment. Um, yeah. So we've already got um, the settings for this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into Purview, and I'm going to go to Purview Administrators, and I'm going to go over here and we're going to edit this, and we're going to choose Groups here, and we're going to see Purview PIM Administrator. There we go. Next, and then we are going to save. Okay, and then anything that we want to do, we're done here. And then anything we'd want to complete there, we would be fine. So when a user has eligible, so we can go to, let's go to Liam here, and let's go to privileged entity management, and it's going to go to my roles. We're going to see groups here. Okay, and then okay, and then activate. Okay, we can do again this justification. We didn't change this. Didn't change any of these settings, but we could have set those settings here. But we're going to activate for there, and we'll see need to assign permissions to Purview, because that's one of the roles that a PIM administrator can do. So actually, we're not going to customize any of the start time or any of that. And then I'm going to activate. And by the way, we don't have. I don't believe we have a workflow on this, so there should be no approval process for this. We certainly could have set all of that up, but there is some limitations to this versus an Entra ID role as well. So we'll let this validate all of this, and then we'll see. There is some delay sometime in getting this to work, and not getting it to work necessarily, but between time of activation, it's not always real time. So when somebody elevates from a RBAC role using this method here, then sometimes it's not immediate. And so we're going to look at any active assignments, and so we see that there's an activated assignment there. And we can deactivate that assignment. Now, on the administrator, I want to look and see. First of all, I don't know that we've got alerts set up for that. We'll see if an email comes through on that regard. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to user details. Actually, we can do it. We can do it a couple different ways, I think. But we're going to go here, and I'm going to go to Liam, and I'm going to see if Liam's got any role assignment here. Does not. We can see that it's a member of this group. But we can go into Purview administrators. We can see that this members of this group are activated, but it's only those that have activated. It's not any member of the group is not necessarily activated at the time, which is why we don't set the group members until after we enable it for the role assignment that it's going to have. And so if I go in here to purview.microsoft.com, we'll see if we'll just poke around here real quick just to see. I know this has been a lot, but I think has hopefully been really helpful for you. But we're going to pop through here and just see if he's got access to everything inside of Purview. It may take it a moment before he has complete access. Sometimes it's complete, sign out, sign in, but we're going to go in here. We're going to go to solutions. We're going to go explore all. We're going to go to settings. We go to role groups. And I'm going to say insider risk admin, edit, choose user. So basically it's looking like I'm going to see if he can complete the assignment here, which would indicate that he is in fact a PIM administrator. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to back that back out because we don't necessarily need Mia Rogers to be a insider risk admin. I just wanted to verify. So that is how we can assign PIM activation, even though it's not an Entra role, it's a RBAC role, it's a purview role. You can do this with Exchange, you can do this with other services. So, and that's just hopefully one other way you can expand and extend the PIM reach so that you can make sure that your elevated roles, whatever they are and wherever they live, are secure. So I hope this has been helpful for you, and thank you for watching.